multiplying and dividing rationals is a lot like simplifying them. You just factor anything that'll factor and then cancel what cancels is essentially what's going on. And then we can't forget to state the excluded values. So that's where the denominator is equal to 0. But first, we need to, so we want to factor all of the pieces to each of the fractions. Now, when you multiply fractions, really what you're doing is multiplying the top times the top and the bottom times the bottom. So what we end up doing is factoring each separate piece. So the numerator of the first one I can factor with the star here, put -4 on top, 3 on the bottom, 1 on the sides. So when you multiply to get 4, subtract to get 3. So 4 times 1 is 4, 4 minus 1 is 3, so that means I need that 1 to be a negative, now to multiply to get -4. So the numerator is becoming x plus 4 and x minus 1. The denominator of the first fraction, I can't factor it, so I'm just going to bring it down. X plus 5. I don't really need the parentheses there, but it's okay. The numerator of the second fraction, I can factor out of 5. What's left is x plus 5. And then on the bottom, the denominator there, I can factor out of 4. And what's left is x plus 4. So now what I'm doing is I just multiply the top with the top and the bottom with the bottom. So essentially what happens is all these factors will get squished together. So there's the numerator times 5 times x plus 5. And on the denominator, I've got x plus 5 times 4 times x plus 4. I'm going to put that 5 in parentheses as well. So everything got multiplied together on top, everything multiplied together on the bottom. Before you go and multiply everything together, check out what's going to cancel out. So I have an x plus 4 on the top and an x plus 4 on the bottom. Right, so those will cancel with each other. Then I have an x plus 5 on the top and an x plus 5 on the bottom, so those will cancel. So even if they're not right on top of each other, they'll still cancel out. And then I can multiply anything that's left together. So I've got this 5 that's left, and it's going to multiply into the x minus 1. I can rewrite it to kind of clean things up here. Right, and then this 5 I can multiply back in and keep it over 4. So there's the simplified answer. Now I just need to state the excluded values. To do that, you go and set each of the factors before they get canceled. You set each of the factors equal to 0. So the x plus 4, the x plus 5, the 4 doesn't have an x, so it doesn't matter. It's not going to give you an excluded value. So you just set each of the factors that have an x equal to 0 and solve them. So I got x plus 5 equals 0 and x plus 4 equals 0. So I'm just going to subtract 5 on both sides. So x equals -5, subtract 4, x is equal to -4. So there are the two excluded values. So what I would do is put a slash through the equal sign to say that x cannot equal -5 and x cannot equal -4. All right, so that's the process. You just factor everything and then cancel what cancels. So the numerator here, I can factor out of 2. So that's going to be 2 parentheses x plus 5. And then the denominator here, I can throw that into the star. -30 on top, -1 on the bottom. Multiply to get 30, subtract to get 1. It's going to be 5 and 6. Which one's negative? Well, if I do the 6 negative, I'm going to get the -1. So on the bottom, I'm going to turn that into x plus 5 and x minus 6. Okay, and then the numerator of that can't really factor, but notice how similar it is to the x minus 6. So when they're opposite factors like that, what you can do is take out a negative, and then that's going to change the sign. So the 6 is going to become the negative, and the x is going to become the positive. Okay, so I have to keep that negative in the front there to make that work, right? then I'm going to go down to the bottom here. I can factor out an 8. And there we go. I got everything factored. So now we just need to cancel stuff out that is the same on top and bottom. So and then we can just cancel from the left side to the right side and up and down either way. So the x plus 5 on the top cancels with the x plus 5 on the bottom. The x minus 6 that we made work with this x minus 6 can cancel out. And then what's left is my answer. So the only thing on top is this 2, but there's also that minus, that negative. So I'm going to have a negative 2 on top. And on bottom, I'm going to have this 8 is multiplying into that. And that's all there is. So I can just go ahead and multiply that 8 in. And there's my simplified answer. Now I just need to set each of the factors in the bottom equal to 0. So the x plus 5 equals 0, the x minus 6 equals 0, and the x plus 1. Each of those gets set equal to 0. And hopefully you see what the solutions will be very quickly. So you set each of them equal to 0, and each one is going to give you a solution. So we have subtract 5, so x is going to be negative 5. And then I add the 6. So x is going to be 6. Then I subtract 1. So x is going to be negative 1. So those are the 3 values that x cannot equal. And here's my simplified answer. Okay, so factor everything that'll factor, and then cancel anything that cancels. The only thing different with the division is that we need to multiply by the reciprocal. Whenever you divide fractions, you multiply by the reciprocal. So I'm just going to rewrite the first one and change the division to multiplication, and then flip the fraction, the second fraction, and then it's exactly the same as multiplication. So you just factor everything that'll factor, cancel things that'll cancel, and then it'll be just like the first ones. So multiply, the division turns to multiplication, and then you flip the fraction from top to bottom. The second fraction. The first fraction always stays the same.